What is the BRRRR method and why should we use a fix and flip in order to get more properties? Stay tuned and we're going to go over more. We have seen the BRRRR method. BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So this is a very, very, very powerful method to acquiring a lot of investment properties. And what this is going to help you with is generating a lot of passive income and revolving methods to purchasing homes. Whenever we buy a home, especially using the BRRRR method, we're always looking for properties that have a lot of value. I would say the rule of thumb is to follow the 70% rule. So we want to buy a house, and we want to buy a house based on the after repair value at 70% of the true value of the home. So for instance, let's go ahead and use this. The after repair value on a house is $100,000. We're able to get a house for $30,000. So with this guideline, we don't want to put any more than $40,000 into it, because that's going to give us the highest chance of being able to refinance out of the property and pull out our investment that we had into the property from the beginning. Now that you've kind of looked into buying the property, what's the best way to fix it up? How can we get the $40,000 to fix that property? And that's where these fix and flip loans kind of come into play. So what is a fix and flip loan? It is a short-term loan that's going to allow you to borrow off of your investment property without a prepayment penalty, and to basically take our funds, fix up the property, have an interest-only payment, and then once everything's done, we go in and we refinance it and give you the cash back to pay off that renovation cost and to give you whatever equity that you're looking for. So typically we would look at 70 to 80% is where we're going to give you a cash out on a property like that. And because we're taking cash out on a higher valuation, you should be able to pull out most of your cash that you input into this. Let's kind of break down the 5 steps of the BRRRR method. We obviously want to buy, and when we're buying, we're always looking for the best opportunity that's out there. Buying a home, like when I walk into a property, I love to see holes all over the place. I love to see maybe a bad roof. I love to see a property that smells really bad. I like to just see things that other people do not want to buy. At that point, you need to have a team that's ready for the rehab. I always have a team that works for me, pretty much every day of the week. When I call them and I say, hey, I need something done, they're ready. They're on standby. I keep them busy enough that, I'm typically at the top of the priority list. So finding someone like that is really important. And it's also really important. I'll tell you something that I learned a long time ago. Don't have a quick trigger when it comes to firing someone, especially in this type of work. If they're doing a job that's good enough or even excelling, you always want to treat them well, because they're going to get you to the finish line a lot faster so that you can start generating that passive income. Next, we're going to kind of go into the rent side of things, right? Renting is extremely crucial. You want to do a lot of different things to vet your renters and your potential tenants. You want to make sure that it's out there and on every single type of listing site that's available, so you're not going to have a high vacancy rate on the property. And you want to have someone that's going to, have the gumption, like the property manager or yourself, who's going to be okay with having those uncomfortable conversations, and someone that's going to keep you out of the day-to-day calls when it comes to issues with the properties and things like that. Having someone that can assist you with that is extremely important, especially when you're looking to scale to more than a couple properties. When it comes to refinancing, it's really important to shop around. We always talk about go to a wholesale lender, don't go to a retail lender. You go to a retail lender, they're shopping that one option for you, and that's the only option. So if they tell you something, you tend to believe everything that they say. Whereas, with a wholesale lender, we're able to go through all of our 200 different investors, and we can say, okay, well, investor 1 through 40, is going to give us this type of product at this much down payment or loan to value. A second investor set may give you the option to have different payment plans, such as adjustable rate mortgages, fixed rate mortgages, interest only payments, and things like that. Whatever is going to suit your need the best. And then obviously going wholesale versus retail is going to save you money. So you always want to go wholesale to make sure that you have someone that you're consistently working with, so that you could get to the last step, which is repeat. Getting to the repeat step is really important. Like having that team that can help you identify the properties, rehab the properties, rent the properties, refinancing the properties, and then you are the repeat mode, okay? So you are the buy and repeat mode. The rehab is your contractors, the refinances are your lenders, and then so on and so forth. You got to make sure they all work together. We always have to know the time frame. Time frame is extremely important, and that's where that rehab part is really important. I've had contractors that take years to work on properties, and I have contractors that have big teams and good day labor that can get people in and out to get you to the finish line, which is a completed product sooner than everyone else. I would say there is definitely some pros and cons to the BRRRR method. And the pros would be, obviously, you're building and at a faster pace. You can increase that cash flow as soon as the house is rented. However, during the rehab process, you're always going to have some sort of like things that pop up that cut into that budget. Doing the BRRRR method, the more that you have, the lower your risk is, right? People that go into their first and second property, it's always way more stressful than someone that has 10 plus properties, because at that point, you could maybe put some houses on the back burner and not worry about getting cash flow, or it gives you time to kind of build up the money with the other rents that are coming in. You have way greater control over your investments because we are buying the property, renting, refinancing, and then repeating the method. So if you are identifying the properties correctly, you should be able to get into these properties with one set amount of money each and every time. Now, the disadvantages are definitely the time and effort that's involved. It's really involved in the beginning, especially with rehabbing a property. Like I said, things come up unexpectedly. There's always going to be unexpected expenses. One of the biggest challenges is making sure you have that cash reserve set aside when you do this. Make sure you have the financing set aside for fix and flip, or maybe a home equity line that's big enough to cover any project, but you always want to make sure that you're not running it down to the last penny. I've seen people come in all the time with, let's say, $1 million in their bank, and while they're going through the project, they won't call us until they get to about, $100,000 left, and by that time, we may not have enough cash reserves to help them out. No one likes to pay interest on things that they don't use. However, having that financing and those options kind of set up in place for the equity lines with the cash out refinances, or using the fix and flip, which is quick short-term money. It's pretty affordable too, and it closes really fast. That's a great option for you. Some of the tips I would say is making sure you have a realistic budget. Not only the budget to complete the house, but to have some sort of contingency reserve set aside for any unexpected errors. Have a realistic timeline. Getting an entire house gutted and walls put in and drywall and all this other stuff, maybe with a 1 month timeline, is probably unrealistic. So having that timeline and the right expectations so everyone can kind of fall into place is extremely important. Don't rush the process. Whenever you rush the process, guess what happens? We've all done it, right? Let's say whenever I go on a fishing trip, if I wake up 2 hours in advance, take my time, get ready, I'm going to have everything on my boat by the time I get to that fishing trip. However, if I wake up, let's say 30 minutes before the fishing trip and I have a 25-minute drive, having 5 minutes to do the same type of process that it should take 30 minutes to an hour to do is probably not the most conducive to overcoming errors and mistakes. So having that realistic timeline is extremely important. When it comes to renting out the properties, this is a big consideration. Should I go with affordable housing? Should I take pets? Do I allow smoking? What are some of the things that we're looking for, right? This is extremely a topic that, has kind of helped me with my success in finding tenants is, I'll do things such as like walking by their vehicle just to make sure that, the vehicle is clean, right? It's not junky, it's not messy. That's the first impression. The way that a person presents themselves when they go see the property, whether they're on time, whether they're late, a lot of these things really play into consideration. Whether they're having communication if they're late, right? I'm okay with someone being late as long as they have that proper communication. So when you're vetting your tenant, it's extremely, extremely important. When doing the cash out refinance, finding a lender that's wholesale versus retail, seeing what the different options are, because, not every loan is built the same. So we'll just use something such as a DSCR loan. For example, that's a debt service coverage ratio loan. If you have regular conforming loans or conventional loans, these are all showing up on your personal credit. So after a certain period of time, if you're doing your taxes right and having a bunch of deductions to where you're not paying out a lot of taxes at the end of the year, guess what? That hurts your income when it comes to qualifying. So maybe having that DSCR route is important. And the reason I bring that up is because DSCR varies. You know, you're going to have a different variance when it comes to credit score. So some investors will go down to 600 credit score. You know, some people that you call are going to say, hey, it's going to be a 660, and you may be at a 640. But to not know about that option is going to put you behind. Okay. So that's why I said shopping around, making sure you go to a wholesale mortgage lender like us. You know, we have 200 options to go through, right? So we may have 70% of our investors not want to lend at like a 640 credit score. And then we have those 30% of investors that, you know, we know, hey, can lend. And at that point, we dissect it even further. So we then say, okay, well, these investors right here will do it only up to like 60% loan to value at that credit score. And these will go up to 80%. So we'll evaluate your different choices and show you what the pros and cons are and what's going to save you the most money, and then provide you with what's important to you, whether it be the product, the pricing, or the speed. Definitely, you know, qualify with a wholesale mortgage investor. This is truly the path of building properties as fast as you can, and this is a really good method to do that. If you were to go onto any home valuation website and you look at the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of housing prices, it's always going to go up. So there's never a perfect time to buy anything, whether it be stocks, any type of investments, because you're never going to catch the bottom of the market. And what truly is the bottom of the market? $0. If you want to grow, this is a great way to BRRRR. Okay, it's a great way to BRRRR. It's a great way to find money for doing the renovations, and it's a great way to build multi-generational wealth. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to level up and take your business to that next level with investment properties, give me a call. My name is David Xie. I can be reached at 757-478-8493, and I will talk to you guys later.